Okay, so a student sent this to me. He's having difficulty getting a feature in here fully defined. So let's go ahead and take a look at our sketches in here. I think it's related to his linear sketch pattern. And we can see his bottom linear cutout feature in here with the sketch 5. If we're right-clicking that, now we can see what's going on here. So we have our regular cutout in the bottom here. It's it's a 1-inch cycle. We have a 1/2 inch dimension over here, which is defining that first cut. And the desire is to set up these other cuts. He's wondering how to fully define this. Well, he started out pretty good. He's got a 1-inch dimension on this, and he's got some reference geometry in here too we try to put in. But the thing to do here is to grab one of these endpoints and pull on it and see what you need to do. So right away you can see what you need to do. It looks like the distance relationship's okay, but I can rotate about that because you're only dimensioning between 2 points when you do that. And when you dimension between 2 points, it could quite literally rotate around that. But if you wanted to put it, a real dimension between it, maybe between that line and this line here, and that would probably solve that a little bit better. But let's do this. Let's just go ahead and erase all this stuff in here. Let's go ahead and redo that. Let's go ahead and put that in there and try that from the very beginning. You can see how this works. This is our linear sketch pattern. We're going to go ahead and click on that. Direction 1 is suggesting axis, the x-axis. So we're actually looking at the y-z axis over here, or the xz plane. So x-axis, it's got to go off in this direction. We don't want to go off in that direction, so let's go ahead and pick something else. Let's go ahead and pick this edge over here. So that's blue, light blue, highlighted. We can go over here and select something, so it's going to go ahead and populate that. Now I was asking for the y-axis or the direction 2. Don't want to do a checkerboard. We just want to go off in one direction, so we're going to ignore that and kind of go back up here for the distance, and we're going to make our distance 1 inch. So it's a 1-inch cycle between a 1/2 inch cut and a 1/2 inch substance, and then back to a 1/2 inch cut and stuff. So between the substance and the cut, it's a 1-inch cycle, so we're going to put in 1 inch there. Instances, we're going to put in 4. That includes the base instance here, the seed instance in a way, and then we're going to have 3 additional ones after that, so the total number is going to be 4. And then we can put in, we can dimension X spacing in here too if you want to do that. And if we do that, it's going to put in those dimensions. But let's go ahead and do this. Let's go ahead and select our entities. So we're going to go ahead and click on all 4 of these lines. You can see what it's doing there. And if you go to the green check mark, bang, now it puts in 1 dimension in here. If we didn't click that dimension, then it probably wouldn't put that in here. So now the only thing we need to do is make some of these elements collinear to each other. Now if we didn't have that dimension in there, we'd have to put that in there. So if we delete these lines in there, if you chose to ignore that, then then it really gets away from you there. But we're going to do the same thing. We're going to go ahead and click on these 2 lines over here. We're going to make those collinear. So now you can see that both the left and right line for all 3 of these instances, the new ones, they're going to have the black lines too. So the only thing we need to do is put in that dimension. So instead of that little center line dimension in between points, we're going to go ahead and dimension between these 2 lines, defining the full cycle in there. We're going to make that 1 inch. When we do that, cuts it out, and it's ready to go, and everything's fully defined. So here's a new sketch relation for you. It's called the pattern sketch relation. And remember, if you would need to check something like this, yank and crank on a point. It could be the midpoint of the circle, the edge of a rectangle. If that doesn't work, then go ahead and yank and crank on an edge on the side, on a model line, and it should tell you what you need to do to get it fully defined.